shoot. I'll fix that in post. It's okay.
You got a shit.
No, I made 2 video files instead of one. I didn't mean to split it. I'm just a dummy. All right. I'll bring us back here. Here we go. And 3, 2, 1. All right, we're back, everybody. Welcome back to the program. It is time for us to continue down the road. And in this case, we're going down a road that has a Dear Martha attached to it. And this is another hardcore option mode from, let's see, who sent us this one? Did I not write down his name? Oh, Torturous Owl from our raid group.
Oh, the owl strikes again.
Yep, the owl strikes once again. He's got a hard mode option on this, John, so you get to choose what you want to do here.
All right.
Your prompt is Martha's husband is riding excitedly to share the news of their potential new home in Azeroth. He's working with a realtor to find the perfect plot and is eager to convince Martha that the price is fair, the neighborhood is safe with no roaming murlocs, and the local amenities, which is auction houses, mailboxes, taverns, are top-notch. What zone would Martha's husband want to be set up in for her home, and how could he convince Martha that it is their forever home? Now, that's, makes sense on its own, but here's hardcore mode, or hard mode.
Yeah.
Martha wants to declutter before the move, insisting on tossing out some of her husband's cherished items, transmogs and depowered legendary artifacts that are sitting in their bank tabs. John must passionately defend why these items must stay, weaving in their sentimental and practical value, all while negotiating how they arrange their new space or rearrange furniture to accommodate keeping them. So it's up to you how much of that hard mode you want to use.
All right, well, let's do it.
All right, here we go.
My dearest Martha, housing has finally come to the world of Warcraft. And it is time for us to settle and find our very special place. And look, I don't log in as much as I used to. And frankly, a lot of the housing has been bought up already. But Martha, I got us a fantastic plot of land in a little place called the Swamp of Sorrows. Don't let the name fool you, Martha. It sounds bad, but let me assure you the Swamp of Sorrows has many advantages that other zones would not supply. Sure, the Barrens is a hub that connects many major cities. A crossroads, if you will. Therefore, you have a lot of amenities coming your way. Maybe not as true in the Swamp of Sorrows. Not a lot of people go there. But fishing, Martha, Nat Pagel himself, frequent visitor of the Swamp of Sorrows, and wrote a colorful review of its territory.
Yeah.
Now, I know what you're thinking, Martha. You're worried that we're not going to be able to ever buy anything because the auction house is all the way in Orgrimmar. Don't worry, Martha. I got a deal. For just $100 US, we can have the auction house wherever we want. All we need is a place to keep a dinosaur. And what better place to keep a dinosaur than in a swamp of sorrows?
Oh, man.
He's already big. We can put him in the lake. His head will stick out of the water. He'll be happy as a dinosaur in a swamp. On that note, Martha, I got your letter saying that it was time for me to let go of my Frostmourne that I've been keeping around the house. Martha, Frostmourne is a one-of-a-kind sword. It's not mass-produced. It's not something you just pick up anywhere. I need my Frostmourne, Martha. It's a need. Now, I know in your letter you said it whispers quietly, seeking you to touch it and be consumed by its magnificence and assume the mantle of a lich queen. Martha, you're already a queen. You're a queen in my heart.
Aww.
Don't listen to the whisperings of an evil sword. It's basically a big paperweight at this point. And it doesn't take up very much room. You can store it in a rock just as easily as you can store it on a wall. Why, the Blizzard store will even sell you a fake rock to keep it in. It basically is decorative. And if a burglar ever happens into our house, you're going to be happy you had a Frostmourne.
Burglar.
just a couple of ideas while we prepare the move. Yours in this life and the next. Lichman 47.
Lichman 47. That's perfect. I think you got hard mode and nailed the original request. Take that, torturous owl. Ball's in your court, buddy. All right, well done. What now? Oh, some news we didn't talk about. Oh, no, that's not true. Instead, we're going to talk about the games we played this week. Yeah, that's right. You heard me. Let's get into them. We have, for example, Path of Exile 2, which continues to be great. According to you guys, I still have not pulled the trigger. Trigger. I want to. Trigger.
Bodelands.
One of these
pronounced Bodelands.
Bodelands. One of these days, I'm going to pull the trigger on Bodelands.
Borderlands mother fluffing far.
All right, easy there, dude. So let's get to it. Let's start with who are we going to start with? Scott. Why do I keep saying Brian?
Brian.
Scott.
Let's have Brian start. What did Brian's thoughts?
What did Brian think? Oh, he didn't.
Bodelands 4.
He didn't get it. Oh well. Now we move to John. All right, good. Tell me what you think of it right now.
I continue to play Path of Exile 2. I'm gonna have a more simplistic take because I'm still in Act 1. I'm at the Act 1 final boss, which right before I fought, I got in Discord all high and mighty on myself. I was like, guys, I'm having such a good time with Path of Exile 2. It's so much fun. These bosses, they've been really good. I've only had to fight one boss twice, and it was a lot of fun. And then I got to the final boss. And the final boss has kicked my ass so far 4 times.
Oof.
And he's killed you with poetry because he says a poem while he's kicking your ass.
Does he? Okay. Cool.
We're talking about the werewolf guy, right? He's the Act 1 boss?
Yeah.
Okay,
when he
good,
turns,
okay, good.
when all the gray smoke goes around and he charges at you, one of your cues to know to dodge is he says a line of poetry.
Oh, is that what the cue is? I just, as my extremely tanky sorcerer, I just tank the hit. I'm like, stop hitting me.
Yeah. I play Ranger, so I gotta dodge that shit. But yes, I love that he's like reciting this poem while he.
No, that's actually helpful. Maybe I'll
terrorizing.
beat him this time because right now that area is the toughest for me because I'm really good at doing a couple things at once, but as soon as you add enough things, let me say this boss fight is so flipping good. Oh my gosh. Like, even though I keep failing at it, I love it. It is so cinematic. It is so over the top. It is so crazy. The mechanics are so cool, especially when you go into phase 2 and he just goes full like freaking werewolf. The fights in Path of Exile 2 are amazing. Like, they are so damn good. Although I am a little sad that he is an ice-themed boss and I'm an ice-themed sorcerer because I do not think I'm doing the most damage to him that I could possibly be doing.
He's got resistance to your powers, yeah.
But I am, oh my god, it's so cool. And like I said earlier, my son watched me fight this boss and he's just so into it. And normally he doesn't even care. Normally I'm like, hey, Dad, hey, look, Daddy's Indiana Jones. He's cracking a whip. And my son's like, come play in my room. This, he like was watching. He's like, don't let him hit you. Get him. He's like getting so into it.
Wow.
And I cannot say enough good things about this. I did not think ARPG fights could be this fun. And that's probably on me for not playing enough of them. But
Path is definitely standing up head and shoulders with what they've done.
I cannot believe it's this cool. And then it's like, yeah, that's the Act 1 boss. And I'm like, oh my
Act
god,
1.
this is
You got
so
2
good.
more acts, and the full launch will have 6 acts.
And like, I liked the other bosses too. The one that I had the hardest time with was there was this boss that you click a bunch of things and summon enemies, and then there's like one final summon, and they're like kind of a evil druidy seeming boss that really wrecked my business. But like that was a cool boss. I mean, even the first worm that you fight where you're having to worry about both its head and tail coming out, like the fights in this are just so cool and cinematic and neat. So yeah, I am having such a good time with this game. It's so flashy, it's so fun. We talked about how right now to play, there is a buy-in, even though it's technically a free game. For the early access, you do have to buy something. a supporter pack of some kind. But in that supporter pack, you get the equivalent of the amount of money you spend in their in-game currency. I use that currency to buy what any good person would buy, stash tabs.
Yeah.
And one of the coolest things about their stash tabs is you can buy a stash tab that's dedicated to currency. So like all the little doodads and stuff that like enhance this item, collect these and it'll make this item. And you can set it to auto sort into it, and it formats that tab when you click it. It is specialized to look nice for that currency. So you can look at it and at a glance go, oh, I have this much of this.
Yeah.
It's so nice. And I had enough to buy all the tabs in the world that I wanted with what I've already spent in the game. Like, I don't anticipate... So when I played PoE 1, I didn't run out of tabs from the default without spending any money. And this, I'm like, I already have enough tabs to where I don't imagine I'm going to need more than this. The only thing I might do is I might upgrade the starter tabs to premium tabs, because even though that sounds like kind of a skeevy deal, it's like, hey, you want these tabs to be extra cool? Spend a little money on it.
It's a free-to-play game, and that's how they get you. There's the only gameplay relevant purchases, at least in 1, and I think it'll be true in 2, is stash tabs.
Yeah, and the premium tabs are nice. The fact that you can name them, colorize them. I'm like, oh, these are so good. And I'm barely using any of them. But then I look at the regular tabs next to the cool tabs and I go, you're so disappointing to me.
Yeah.
you're so lame.
Yeah.
I need better tabs. Yeah. But it's great. And that I already had it. I don't worry about the transmog stuff because, again, like, I care more about what the game drops than what you buy in a store. And what I've picked up so far has made me look cool enough. I haven't felt like, oh my god, it needs to be something different. I'm like, oh, this is fine. So yeah, that's really all that
in Act 1, and you're talking about needing stash tabs there because
I don't need them. This was not a need.
You will need them. Yeah, if you're playing for endgame, it definitely come in way more handy as the game.
Okay,
goes on,
that's good.
Yeah, I got a bunch of them because I was like, I'm not gonna buy transmog items, so I'll just buy a shitload of stash tabs. Why not? And I still have some extra currency left, so I'm feeling real set. And that stuff was really, really cool, very easy to use. And that's basically what I did. I continue to think Path of Exile 2 is phenomenal already. Yeah, I know. I gotta beat that boss. Yeah. I mean, the only thing that's disappointing is every time I go back into the game, I have to go through a stage all over again, which isn't a terrible thing, but I'm like, I just want to keep trying the boss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be at that checkpoint.
One of the ways to beat bosses is obviously to gain levels and to find new gear, So,
yeah.
So you're not, and that's what you're here to do in an ARPG. So it's not the worst thing in the world.
That's true.
And honestly, it pays to exhaust all the corners of every map when you're doing the campaign, because there are permanent upgrades, like extra skill points you can get for defeating optional side bosses. The game has, as part of its difficulty slider, as you progress through it, you lose resistance. But there are a few bosses that give you permanent resistance bonus that counteracts some of it. So it's
I think one of the first maps you even go to has like a witch that if you kill her, she drops a 20 ice resistance item for you.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Useful, turns item. Out for the end of act boss.
Yeah. You can also get books that just permanently alter your character on that run. So
can you guys
it's good to exhaust the whole map.
Can you guys clarify something for me on the health and mana potions? Are those I know it's very different than it used to be, but are those cooldown based now, or are they still how much?
No, they're charge based. So you can press them as much as you want until you run out of charges.
And those charges are filled how? How do you get charges back?
The main way is the well in town, but when you kill enemies, you can recover charges, as John said, and then some of the upgraded ones can passively recharge. You can get modifiers on them. So I have one that passively regains and then gives more charge when I get a kill and that kind of thing.
How about portals back and identify scrolls. That stuff gone?
Yep. So very early on in Act 1, you'll meet the Hooded One, and he is your Dicker Cane. He just identifies all your shit for free.
Okay.
There are scrolls of Identify, but I basically have 600 of them in my inventory. They're useless. But
Okay.
Yeah, as soon as I rescued him, I was like, well, these are going to stack up now.
yeah,
Okay.
Because, like, the only good they do at that point is, like, I want to see what this item is right now before I go back to town. But you can go back to town pretty much whenever you want. So it kind of doesn't matter. Also, your potions, I really like this touch. It's a really nice touch, is anytime you go through a checkpoint, which there's always a checkpoint right near a boss, you will refill your potions and mana.
Oh, good.
So it's one of those things where, like, yeah, if you were playing, you're like, oh, I'm about to get to the boss. Let me go to town. Let me refill my potions. The game's like, we already know that you're going to do that, so we're just going to do it for you.
Yeah, I like that.
It's really nice.
You hit the checkpoint, you get a refill, and they just added a patch with some good quality of life stuff, including being able to teleport between checkpoints on a map, so you don't have to hoof empty map space on foot. So if for some reason you want a checkpoint back to the boss, you can now from a map. Yeah. The other thing is they reduced the respec cost by like 50%.
With a patch or
which
from
is
the first
fantastic.
game? Do you mean?
So yes, the first game you couldn't respec, or it was very difficult to get the currency to do so.
Yeah.
It's been a while. This one is just gold, and it's easy. Respecking's easy breezy, and it's great. It's a good improvement.
That immediately defangs the problem of the giant map. It was never that it was a giant map, as that when I committed, I was in and I couldn't get out. And now it sounds like I can change my mind, and that means a lot.
You can change your mind at any time. Same guy that identifies lets you refund passives, and it's very easy to do.
Yeah.
Also, the big improvement here too, and we talked about this last week, I think, is your skill gems are no longer coupled with items. In the first one, finding an item just wasn't about its affixes.
Mm-hmm.
It was also how many gems can you slot in it, how are they linked, you want a 6 link, blah 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 blah. That's gone. The whole system's decoupled. So when you're looking for gear, which is still complex enough, especially like towards in game, you're also not like looking at it going like, yeah, I like this piece of gear, but it's only got 3 slots in it. You know, it's like you get this mental fatigue trying to like optimize 5 different systems. That was actually the hardest part, was just looking at the loot on the ground and not being able to tell at a glance, like, should I pick this up or should I leave it? You're still going to want to leave items on the ground eventually, not early on. Not when you play the campaign, but as you get to like the second playthrough of the campaign and end game. It's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to wrap your head around everything. It's just way better experience.
Well, that's awesome to hear. I will probably finally pay for it. I had a really rough week with time. Just family and holiday crap and all that.
Me too, man.
Yeah, that's why, because we're not talking about the Steam games now, but I'm going to tell this part. Well, we already said it in the pre-show, but I don't think we said it in the main show. My top 5 games played, one of the top 5 was Path of Exile 2. And it's not like I'd put a low amount of time in. That's 120 hours in 1 week, basically.
That's a lot.
So I am at end game now. I'm like level 77, and I'm doing the map system. I never really engaged with the end game system in Path of Exile 1. I always fell off after doing whatever campaign stuff there was to do. I have to say I am enjoying the way they present the end game system. I've never really done a map system before. But it is interesting. It has been compelling. I have critiques of the game. I don't know if they're going to matter much to some listeners, but there are some pain points for sure. This game, the damage is overtuned, I think. Like, it makes for a fun experience when you're doing the campaign for the first time. It's actually not a bad thing. But when you're at end game and basically everything just one-shots me, like a little beetle come up, and there's XP loss at endgame. You won't de-level, but you'll lose your progress on experience, which sucks, and you lose your map. So I do want to do a rant. I have a rant balled up in me that we need to get out.
Let it out.
Let's hear it.
Might as well just do it now. Yeah. Dear video game developers who make awesome games I love, and you guys are great. Can we stop with keystones, waystones? Can we just drop that from the universe, please? Like, just fire it into the sun. So I was already experiencing this frustration with WoW. I've talked about getting into mythics and stuff like that, and it's been great. One of the things that the game does is you have to have a keystone, and it's like so you can't pick the map you want. You have to do the map that you have the keystone for, and you can't pick the difficulty you want. You need to like upgrade your keystone. But what can happen is if you fail to time a keystone to do a game in time, and already timed games not a great mechanic. I know Scott's famous for hating the timer in Mario and stuff like that. You're a timer hater.
Hate him.
And I don't love the timer, but I get that there's a bit of a challenge involved. Let's say I fail the timer. Well, not only do I have to do it again, that difficulty level, the keystone gets kicked down one level. So now I'm double punished. I got to go do a worse keystone. And I'm not going to get into the big explanation, but you're just making me do work for the sake of work at that point.
Yeah.
I've clearly worked my way up, let's say, to Keystone 8. I'm qualified to attempt a Keystone 8. I failed it. I don't get the reward, but now I've also got to spend 30 minutes to an hour doing a lesser keystone as a punishment, because why exactly? Like, we're playing games, like just let me do 8, like do the Diablo 3 system. If I've earned that level of Nephilim Rift, I can attempt that level of Nephilim Rift, and if I want to do a lower one for whatever reason, let me decide that. Don't make it a keystone system. Path of Exile, for all its bluster about we're not like Blizzard and we're making the better ARPG, has the exact same system with their map system. You find waystones. Even though I'm qualified to do, let's say, a tier 7 waystone, which has the appropriate XP and challenge and loot tables for my character. Oh no, I ran out of waystones. I got to do a tier 1 waystone and hope randomly a tier 2 or tier 3 drops. And then I can do a tier 3. Like, you got to grind your way up to like appropriate level content if you run out of waystones and they're locked behind random drop chance. I'm like, I can do tier 7. Just let me do tier 7 and let me accomplish a tier 7 so that I can do a tier 8. And if a tier 8, I hate these keystone systems. I know that they're designed to create friction, but we all have finite time on this earth. You shouldn't be asking people to do content as punishment like that. Basically, it's not fun. It sucks. It's stupid. Yeah. Please stop. Please stop this practice.
You don't seem to be alone. I saw a lot of Reddit talk about this exact same thing from like hardcore players.
I'm surprised it's still in WoW. Like, mythics have been around for a while. I remember even when I played, what was it? Was it Warlords of Draenor where they introduced it? Maybe
I think those were new there.
Or Legion. I don't know. I remember that being a thing then.
Yeah.
And there are people who argue for its merits, but it's like, I'm not a competitor. I'm just playing video game. Like, I get if you make this competitive league and you make the stakes what they are, that's fine. But I'm just a player of your game, and my time should be respected.
Yeah.
So yes, keystones like as punishment is not. Oh, there's already hardcore. Like, if the hardcore mode is in the game, these games for that reason. Like, let's play hardcore. Like, I don't need this system in my softcore experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta say that is a little sad to hear, because the whole keystone waystone thing is definitely like, it's just an immediate turn off for me for a mode. I don't like having to worry about it. I don't mind being punished if I die, but find a way to punish me for, like, in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Like that.
Well, one of the fun things about the
one.
waystones is you can like upgrade them and reroll modifiers on them, which is cool. It's just, don't make me do low end content if I run out of my RNG is bad.
Yeah.
That's not a fun mechanic. And they have it in PoE. They're doing it in World of Warcraft, and I'm sure there are other systems maybe like that. I just hate it. Like, it needs to go. That's my request to everybody.
Rant
Rant over. Because I really like this game, but it really put I was just like, ugh, really.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to Path of Exile. I've played through the campaign once, then you play through it on cruel difficulty, and then you get to end game. It's been hard to put down. It's been really fun. Yeah. And I will say, like, as difficult as the game feels in the first playthrough, once you get your build online, then you can breeze through on cruel difficulty, and it's kind of fun to clobber the bosses that gave you such a hard time in the first go around. Like, it's pleasing. Mm. That way you can see the mechanics and enjoy it instead of your brain exploding from like, oh my god. But there is definitely some overtuning. Like, I'm playing endgame, and some of the little beetles and stuff, they're like one-shotting me, and I'm like, resistance capped. I'm evasion. I have really high evasion on my ranger, and it can be very tough to find gear. you get tons of gear, but you're shopping for like the best affixes and stuff, and it can take a little while. So I just don't like getting one shot. So I'm pretty sure they're working on the game, and because it is early access and we're all beta testers, but it's a good time. I'm having a really good time.
What's level cap in the game? How high can you go?
I believe it's 100.
Okay.
I believe.
Do you know I heard what happens when you Path of Exile 2, you hit 100, Beau's name out on that statue in Blizzard's courtyard will go.
I'm pretty sure I'm super behind on any racing that's happening.
It's all going to go up in smoke.
I don't know. There are leaderboards, I think, right now. I don't think anyone's hit 100 yet. I have to make that 2 leaderboards.
Well, someone's got to have right by now, right? Somebody. No?
I don't know. So standard. Oh, this is Path of. I think this is 2. 98. Currently, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people at 98.
Jeez.
Like I said, the maps are very challenging. I mean, there's a lot of people in the 90s. Like I'm at level 77 and position 1000 is 94. So I'm very behind. But the game is very challenging. Like you have to make basically builds that like enemies can't touch you. Like they don't even like there's no. It's not like Diablo 4 where like yes the enemies get difficult but you won't get one shot by anything in that game. This game the difficulty will pummel you, I think, even that hard. So, and I'm playing a ranger, so I'm not exactly tanky to begin with.
Sure. But have you tried running with other people yet, or just on your own?
No, I just played solo. There's not. I don't think this game. I mean, I guess it is multiplayer. I don't know. I haven't tried it. I've been just doing solo. But
just curious.
It's fun. Yeah.
There's a lot of fire. This level.
Well, that's a map modifier. So one of the things on the Waystones is like the map can be like filled with patches of fire on the ground.
Oh, so it's very mythic rating. That idea.
Yeah, that's like like you can, and the idea is the more negative modifiers, the more chance you can roll for Waystones and get good gear. Which I like that part of the system. I just don't like when the game's like, sorry, you ran out of level 7 Waystones. Do some low level shit to grind back up. You know, it's like, and it's just RNG. It's like it's not like it's a skill based thing. Like you performed really well, so here's your good keystone. It's Diablo. It's Did it drop or not?
Yeah.
It's like didn't drop. Back down the ladder you go. It just feels bad. So
I get it.
But that's the only pain point. Apart from that, the mapping is it's been pretty fun. The end game's pretty compelling, I gotta say.
Well, nice. Outside of all of the, like I said, busy holiday stuff, trying to get shows in order before the holiday happens, all that kind of stuff, I have been playing a crap ton of Refantazio. Oh, that's the wrong video. And also,
I don't remember that part of Metaphor.
Yeah, that's a part you just you got to get far enough in the side quest, John. It's all. You're
I didn't make it
yet.
far enough, I guess.
Yeah, you and your 130 hour, whatever you did.
Yeah.
Anyway, still playing it, still loving it. It's great. I love it. I have nothing new to add except something happened with I think the new version of Steam or the Proton release on the Steam Deck that made this game even better on there. If you were feeling like maybe Refantazio would be your next Steam Deck game, a big recommendation for that. It runs wonderfully on there. With all
have you gotten to the plot twist yet? The first plot twist?
So I'm far enough to.
Is there a giant head floating in the sky yet?
Not yet, but
okay.
From what I can, from what I've been told, I'm close to a giant head floating in the sky because there's some reference. Somebody in my crew had said something, and it sounded like. It was either that or I was watching somebody else's video and it was right around where I am. So whatever that twist is, I'm about there. I'm getting there.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just curious because again, this story starts with a very clear like, hey, here's what's happening. And then things shift and it was like, oh, this story has been recontextualized in a very interesting way very early on. And I'm curious to see what you think of it post that shift.
Does it feature a giant head in the sky that says
"The penis is evil"?
Do you remember that?
I mean, it doesn't specifically say that, but it doesn't not say that.
That's a good point. So, Beau, that's from a movie called Zardoz with Sean Connery.
Oh, I know. I haven't seen it. Okay, but
you should see Zardoz.
Literally a line from that movie.
Yep.
Oh my god!
And there's a huge head floating around that says "The penis is evil," and it barfs guns up, it, like horks up guns for people to take. It's the weirdest movie. Totally worth seeing sometime when you're bored. Anyway, I've been playing a lot of WoW because they dropped a new patch this week on Tuesday. The Siren Isle stuff. I'm having a good time in there. If I only had.
Oh yeah, how is that? I need to get in there. That
it's
sounds
good.
exciting.
I like how compressed it is. Like a lot of these second big patch post expansion things are often gigantic, and you're like, whoa, a whole new underground world like they did in the last expansion. And, other expansions have these large things. This is more like a pretty small, manageable island with a bunch of caves and secret things. More like Timeless Isles than anything.
Okay.
And the vibe's good. I like it. These boss events keep opening up. You keep trying to get your loot and your stuff and improve your ring. There's some story stuff, although I have not got to it all. Mostly just helping goblins and Earth and get some shit done on that thing. And the other thing that's nice, there's no flight
yet.
Yeah, I got my ring, and I've improved it a couple of times. It seems good. I like the progression. It's fun what they're having me do to improve it. Who said? I don't know in the higher levels how that's going to feel. Maybe it'll be bad. But right now that feels pretty good. And I like that everything's about 500 feet away. So I'm never having to run far to do something. And they don't have flight paths on this island because it's so small, but it really isn't a problem. And flight is gated by you get certain things done, and then you can fly normal and then fly dragon flight style. If it's during this storm event that they have there, nobody can fly because the weather is so bad.
Interesting.
So there's a bunch of cool stuff like that going on. I haven't explored all that stuff super deep, but I've been having a good time in there. So played a bunch of that yesterday while I had some time.
Yeah, no, I've just been too stuck in Path of Exile, but I'm like, man, I really should log into WoW because there's new stuff.
You're so OP compared to everyone else on our team. I feel like, aren't you like the highest? You're the highest.
I can take a few weeks off. Yeah, well, I'm 630 eye level. I think actually Bobby's that amount too, but I know Bobby plays a lot.
He
with
plays
another team and stuff.
Yeah,
but,
he plays a lot.
Yeah, but like I didn't do any mythics last week, so I missed my myth track. I got like nothing. Like I haven't touched WoW in a week, pretty much. But
Yeah.
that's because I'm playing Path of Exile, and that's why that's why I get cranky about things because I'm like, I can play WoW when I can play WoW, but it's like I'm currently now busy.
Yeah.
So it's great that there's new content, but I'm not dropping everything to go to WoW. But I do want to get in and play the new stuff. But like,
Sure.
that's why I played a bunch of Shadowlands and a bunch of Dragonflight. Because I'm like, I want to play your game, but I want to play it now. And now that I'm busy, I don't want to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not that. It's yeah.
I
it's
get
just,
that feeling all the time. I totally get it.
like this idea that I'm like, sorry, I'm just a WoW player is so 2000 and 8 or something like
6,
that.
7,
like,
8, yeah, in that range.
Yeah.
Well, the third game I wanted to talk about today is a little indie title that I picked up that I thought John would really like, even when I just saw the video for it. And now I'm convinced after playing it. It's called Gravity Circuit. It's on Steam. I think it is currently priced. I don't have the link. I'll find it. Priced pretty low. Basically, it's Mega Man.
Mega Man.
But Mega Man in a bunch of ways that I prefer over Mega Man. First of all, there's a difficulty
Blasphemy.
there's a difficulty slider on it. But there's this whole like story about why you're doing what you're doing, and you're a robot that's sort of gone rogue, and you got to fight the rest of the robots. But you're kind of a little Mega Man guy. As you can see this guy running around, a little samurai robot. He's got melee abilities. He's got ranged abilities. The ranged abilities feel like Mega Man to me. Lots of jumping and platforming and all that. Gets pretty hard in places. You're like, oh shit, okay, difficulty spike. But just satisfying, and the music's great, and it's one of those games that definitely adheres to an aesthetic of old, but feels like it feels new, like you couldn't have made this for an NES or even a Super NES. Like there are definitely times where I'm like, oh yeah, look at the background effects. There's no way this works on an old console. But it retains that kind of vibe the whole time, and I think it does a really good job of it. It also has this weird color choices, like it's almost monochromatic. Like you can see how green that guy is, how blue the backgrounds are, how red you are. But it's just a style choice that actually kind of works for me.
It reminds me very much of like, remember when they would colorize games for like the Game Boy Color on the Super Nintendo? It reminds me of that.
A little bit like the DX Link game. What was that called?
Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past DX.
Yes. No, Link's Awakening is what it was.
Oh, Link's Awakening DX.
Yeah. And it looks, you're right. There's kind of that vibe to it, but big sprites, lots of animation. Let's see, I'll skip ahead to some actual play here.
I like his exhaust, he has an exhaust pipe or something.
Yeah, he's basically a robot. He's got exhaust pooping out of him all the time. He's got great traversal. He's got a swing thing, or what? Not a swing. What do you call it? Like I said, is a swing grapple that swings. Yeah. But look at some of this bullshit they're throwing at you right here. See,
yeah, this is some Mega Man X stuff right here. This is good
for sure.
I like it,
and they're pretty open about their inspirations. This is reviewing extremely well. People really like it, and I thought, you know what? Let's give it a shot. It was on sale for some lower amount, and it is really fun. So I'm going to recommend it. Great little game called Gravity Circuit. Gravity Circuit, available now. All right, John, you played more Indiana Jones. Tell us about it.
Yeah, we were talking about this in Discord because we've had a lot of people very curious what we think of Indiana Jones. It makes sense. It's kind of the last big AAA game of 2024. It's getting really good reviews, and I think I'm the only one who's played it so far. And unfortunately, I'm having a really hard time getting into it. Now, I think that might have turned around. Someone in our Discord, sorry, I don't remember who it was, who gave me this tip, pointed this out. But right now, the analogy I used when I talked about it is right now, it feels like when you find yourself bored at a theme park. Like when you go to Disneyland and all of a sudden you're in the middle of Disneyland and you're like, I'm kind of bored right now. You know that fun is happening around you.
Yeah.
And you know that if you put in a little bit of effort, you could probably go and find fun somewhere.
Yeah.
But right now you're bored, and all you can really think about is all the reasons why you're bored in the moment. This game feels like it's kind of from the year 2000 in its development in some ways. Like we talked about earlier, a world where we were like, okay, well, we're as good in this department as we can be. Let's just focus on something else. This feels like game development. They were like, gameplay is never going to get better than this. And, somewhere in the year 2000s. And then went, all right, so we're just going to work on graphics and audio then. Yep, sounds good. Because that's what this game kind of feels like so far. It's paced very much of that era, almost like the original Deus Ex. It's not that level of complicated or anything, but there's just weird things about it. But I will say, part of what is weird about Indiana Jones for me is the game is very methodical. It's like, do you want to know where you are and where you need to go? Okay, pull up your map, look at the map, examine it. We'll do a couple little highlight things to help you, but in general, you got to look at your map if you want to know what's going on. Do you want to know where you need to go and why you're doing it? Look in your journal, because that's an Indiana Jones thing. He has to look through his journal and figure stuff out. And not a lot of games these days do that. Most of that gets parsed somewhere in the UI. Maybe you have to hit start to figure it out from a menu, but usually it's just displayed right up front on top. And that's fine for a game that's slow and methodical, but this game is also trying to capture the pace and style of a movie. And I think part of the reason why they don't want to put all these UI elements on the screen, it uses a very minimalistic approach, is because they want to convince you that no, you're in an Indiana Jones cinematic adventure. Well, cinematic adventures aren't slow most of the time. Usually they move at a pretty breakneck pace overall. And so when you find yourself having to stop and read a note to kind of solve a puzzle, you're like, boy, the pace feels off for what I've been doing. And so I've had a lot of issues with that, where it just felt like the pace was kind of jumping. I did have someone in Discord, though, tell me, hey, I was also having some of the problems with the game that you're saying you're having. Under the accessibility settings, you can turn on a little UI element that will point you in the direction of your main quest, and you can put on a UI element that tells you what you're currently working on in the game. And it just displays all the time as a UI. You don't have to open your journal. You don't have to do all of that. It will just show up, and they said it made the game a lot more fun for them. I decided to try it last night. And it worked. All of a sudden I was playing the game a lot more like a game and having a lot more fun with it. Because I I think the game has sold me on moving at a faster pace than the default experience is kind of paced around. So I started to have more fun, but I only had like 10 minutes to play last night. So I did not make a ton of new progress in the game. I'm going to stick with it because, again, from a graphics and sound perspective, this game is really doing some stellar work. I just haven't exactly found it grabbing me yet.
I like that Disneyland thing because I've felt that before. I know that feeling of being in Disneyland and going, okay, are we going? Are we done? Like a hotel sounds nice right now, even though I'm surrounded by the funnest things you can be around.
Yeah.
I've felt that way. I get it. Well, all right. It's sitting here taking up precious bytes on my hard drive. I don't know why I haven't
you
played
should give
yet.
it a try. See if I'm up a tree, if maybe it grabs you, and maybe it'll hold you better than it's holding me so far. And who knows? Maybe once I make it a little further into it, I kept reading on social media people posting like, man, I guess I should finally leave Vatican City. I've been having so much fun. I so far have found Vatican City to be an extremely boring level. Looks like 100 different levels that I've played in video games. I'm just hitting people with clubs, and I'm not even bothering to hide their bodies because I'll just, if anybody finds them, I'll hit that guy with a club too. Like, it's just not honestly, the only, and here's one nit I would like to pick.
Pick it.
The one thing I don't like. So I ran into an enemy that had a dog.
Yeah.
I knocked out the guy. The dog came at me. The game does not want you to be able to hurt dogs.
Yeah. Because the dog, the dogs.
The dog's gonna eat you because you hurt its master, so you gotta do something
right.
about it.
Yeah.
You got. So here's my thing. I don't want to say like I don't love killing dogs in video games. Like Last of Us 2 certainly gave me some trauma about killing dogs.
Yeah.
But if you don't want people to do it, don't put them in the video game. You can make this choice. Why did you make the video game worse by putting in dogs that you can't I don't know. I don't even know how I got it. And I get that it's lore. Like, obviously, he's taken the name of a dog. Indiana Jones seems to care about dogs. Fine. But, yeah, they want you to use the whip to scare them away. Because you can't punch him. Like, he ran at me. I was like, punch this dog. And it's like, Indiana Jones is not going to punch a fucking dog. Yeah, use your whip to scare him. That's fine. But wouldn't a better solution be to just not put the dogs in?
Yeah.
Like if you're going to take a player's agency to act away because you don't want to have a violent act towards a dog, again, that's totally fine because I don't like killing dogs in video games. But instead of taking the player's agency away, maybe just don't put the dog in the video game.
Yeah. Yeah. I get it. I mean, they're like evil German shepherds.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're like racist German shepherds because they hang out with Nazis.
They're Nazi dogs. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's the dog's fault.
No, they were really into it. They were like, they're like, no, I'm definitely an evil dog.
Yeah.
I definitely hate people that aren't like us.
Yeah. Wearing armbands and all that. Sure.
Yeah.
That's great. I do want to play it. I'll get to it. It's on there. I just haven't been motivated to play it. I don't know why. And I haven't had time.
And I will also let me own my own business in all of this. Because I said this too, where I was like, I kind of am hesitant to talk too much about indie because I just don't feel like I've put enough time and effort into it. And people were like, no, but you should say that because maybe there's other people that feel the way you do or worry about the things you do. Maybe they'll feel strongly about it too. I apologize if you all can hear. There's landscaping going on right outside my window. But you should still talk about it. And I agreed with that, but I said there is a point when you're racing through the game and not reading any of the collectibles you pick up and getting to a puzzle and going, did this do it? No. Did this do it? No. Did this do it? No. Did this do it? Oh, yay, it did it. You have to at least at some point go, I'm not earnestly engaging with this video game.
No.
So a little bit is on me that I'm not putting in the proper effort to receive the experience they're intending.
Right.
And there's definitely a case of that. We have a chatter right now, Nicholas, saying, I never needed to fight a dog because they were encouraging stealth. and they stealth around the dog. I'm not bothering with stealth. I'm like walking down the hall, and they're like, Zandiana! And I just like punch them, and down they go, and I keep going.
Sure.
Like, I don't care. That's how I'm going through the game right now. And so if I have problems related to that, that's a little bit on me. But they also designed a game where that's an option. So,
all right.
Yeah.
I mean, stealth is okay in some circumstances, but I see why you wouldn't want to just sneak around as Indiana Jones. That's not really what he does.
No, he pulls out the gun.
Yeah, he pulls out a gun.
Ha, 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 shoots him.
Yeah. Well, somehow you got roped back into No Man's Sky. Tell me why that happened.
Yeah, until the 19th. So sorry, everybody listening to this, because this is old news. They were giving away a free ship as part of the Game Awards in No Man's Sky.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I still couldn't figure out how to redeem it. Like there was a redeem it button, and I clicked it, and it launched the game. Yeah.
Starborn Phoenix ship, that's what you're talking about?
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
I just tried to add it and said there's a problem displaying this item. So
yeah, I couldn't get it to really work either. But in trying to get it to work, I found out that apparently I had also gotten a bunch of ships from like Twitch or something like that as well.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, well, I already got free ships anyway. I'll just get those. But it did get me playing a bunch of No Man's Sky again. I don't have anything that we haven't already said to say about it, except I still don't really know how I get the ship. So if anybody successfully got it, please let me know. And other than that, No Man's Sky
2024
to be really good.
Yeah, it's 2024's 2016 Game of the Year, right?
I think it might be over because now I found the store page for it, and it's just add to your wish list. That's all.
That's probably over now. Yeah. Well, today's the 19th, but it probably ended like midnight.
Oh,
it's supposed to be the last day for it, so maybe there would be a way to get it, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that is what we played, and if any of those inspire you to play them, well, then great, we've done our job. Now it must be time, because I'm looking at the clock. It must be time.
That's a good question.
For some feedback, a voicemail we got this week, and it's a recommendation for something that we've definitely talked about. In fact, I played it and talked about it directly on the show, but it has inspired me to want to get back in, especially some post-patch stuff, and also I'm just in the mood, partly because of Secret Level. Anyway, I'll play the call, and we'll talk about it.
Hey, Core Boys. I was just calling because I picked up a game on the Steam sale recently, and I don't think I've heard you guys mention it. It came about a year ago. It's Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. I'm having a lot of fun with it, and it seems up your guys' alley. It's like an old-school CRPG, lots of reading, lots of lore, and it's pretty cheap right now. So just a suggestion to check it out, especially with you guys loving 40k. It's so 40k. All right, love the show. See you guys later.
So I talked about the show talking about the game on the show when I played it. I got, I don't know, it's probably 8 hours or something into that game, and I just got busy doing something else. This call inspired me to reinstall it and to get further, because I loved what I played.
You did say Rogue Trader, right?
Yeah, Rogue Trader.
Yeah.
I have it. It was, I think Shadowproof gifted it to me.
You got to play
I
it.
picked it up during one of the sales. I have just the base game. I don't know if getting any of the DLC is worth picking up, but I picked it up during the sale as well, so I gotta play it at some point, but I haven't done it yet.
It's very, very good, what I played anyway, and I don't know why I didn't keep going, because it's right up my alley. I think part of it was, this is one of those games that comes out after Baldur's Gate 3, which changes expectations for CRPGs, and did so dynamically that it was impossible not to compare everything you played since, after playing the way BG3 plays. I think it's actually good that a little time has passed, and this game can be appreciated probably on its own merits, because it's very good at what it does. But is it as dynamic as every single thing that BG3 did? No. Does it have as much mocap and voiceover? No. But it's got a fair amount, and it's 40k as hell. So, candles are melting on people's consoles. It's badass. So play it. Check it out. Available now. Rogue Trader. And I'm going to keep going in there, I think. So thanks for the inspiration there, caller. All right. Before we get to our Patreon people, just a quick Merry Christmas to everyone. We hope you're all going to have a great holiday. We'll be back the day after Christmas next week with our Boxing Day episode of the show and our kind of end of year stuff. So really looking forward to all of that. But
our Game of the Year stuff's going to be in January, right? We're not doing that next week.
Right. When I say end of year, I mean like...
Isn't that what we decided?
We did.
Yeah, January 2nd. Like, there's we can record a show right after New Year's. So
yeah. I agree with that. I mean more like, hey, 2024's over, and we'll just have some kind of
Let's reflect. Let's talk about what we're going to play for the holiday. What's going to be our cozy holiday game?
Mm-hmm.
It is still a full 7 days away from Christmas, even because it still feels like there's still time before Christmas, but we won't be doing a new episode till after Christmas.
Right.
So,
Christmas happens.
Let's wish everyone Merry Christmas, and I hope you have wonderful presents and nice time with family.
Wait, it's only 6 days till Christmas, right? Because next
but we won't record a show.
No.
Then, so
we definitely
will and I think we got a few requests like, are you guys doing anything special for Christmas? And I was like,
taking time off and enjoying Christmas.
And I'm like, no, we usually just do it. We're still playing games and we still talk about the games and maybe for year end definitely, but for Christmas, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just Merry Christmas, enjoy your holidays, and I hope you unwrap lots of fun video games for Christmas.
I agree. I hope you all get cool stuff that you want. I'm going to give myself Astrobot. That's what's going to happen to me. I'm going to be a real gift giver to myself. It's going to be great.
Nice. Yeah. No, that's.
And I'm going to tell every kid I see that Santa Claus isn't real for Bo. I'm going to do it. Every kid. I'm going to go to the mall and just go, hey, kid.
Don't put my name in it because they're going to hate me. The parents are going to hate me. They'll hate you too, though, because you did it.
Oh, they hate the messenger every time. So
Yeah. But, I shouldn't have said anything. I know kids listen to this. It's such a topic that's like if we're just being ourselves, we're having a conversation, right? But then every now and then someone's like, yeah, me and my 10-year-old are listening to this. And I'm like, oh, great. Here I go saying something stupid again.
Yeah. Well,
for the 10-year-olds,
I'll give him a positive one that seems like a stereotype for the time of year, but I really like Dickens' Christmas Carol story. I loved the book when I was younger, and I like all the adaptations for the most part. The Muppet one's my favorite for a bunch of Muppet reasons, but I also like that it's pretty true to the tale and does some interesting things. But I'd forgotten about this amazing one. So this is a little side recommendation. This one that George C. Scott as Scrooge made back in 1984. I was just a kid, but I remember being like really enthralled by this adaptation. And I've seen just about all of them. But that one is so good. And I watched it again recently. Watched it with a bunch of tadpoolers, people in the community. And it was great, like emotionally affecting. It's the story you've all heard 100 times, but I just think it's a great version of it. So I'm just going to put it out there. If you're like, man, which one of these should we watch? We've seen all these other a million times. Seek out the George C. Scott one. It's great. It's really, really good. David Warner's in it. Freaking bunch of people from British stuff. It's very good.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm a big Christmas tree fan.
So, you love the tree, yeah.
I love the tree.
You're just not. There's just no confusion about who put the presents under the tree for you. You know what's going on there. It's not.
Yeah. I just don't. This mean person that's going to give you coal or not give you presents if you were bad and doesn't even exist. It's a big lie in the first place. Your parents are trying to get you to behave by telling you this man will only be nice if you're good. It's just the whole thing.
Yeah.
My favorite thing with Santa so far is again, we never had a talk with my son about Santa Claus.
Mm-hmm.
And I just one day I was like, he mentioned Santa. And I said, "What do you know about Santa?"
Mm-hmm.
And he says he brings you presents. And he said this in front of my parents, and they said, "Well, he only brings you presents if you're good."
Mm.
Yeah.
And my son hears that and he goes, "Oh, I'm not gonna get any."
Exactly.
And but he wasn't sad about it. That was my favorite thing about it. Is he just is like,
accepted his fate stoically.
Great. Well, too late for me. That's done. And because my son he's not afraid of being bad. I asked him about this, and his response was, "I want to be a bad boy, but not so bad that I get grounded."
No.
He doesn't even know what grounded means. He just knows he doesn't want it. And so he just wants to operate in the area between he's bad, but not so bad he gets grounded. And that's where he is happiest.
Yeah.
I even told him he was nice yesterday, and he goes, "No, I'm not." And I said, "Yes, that was a very sweet thing you said," because I made him. He went to Taco Bell with his grandma, and he got a cheesy roll up, but he wanted two, so I made him a homemade one, which he did not think Daddy knew how to make. And then I gave him one, and he took a bite, and he goes, "Daddy, this is delicious. Thank you so much for making this for me."
Yeah.
It was like the most thankful, wonderful, articulate thing he said. And I said, "Oh, you're very welcome. That's such a nice thing to say." And he goes, "No, it isn't." I said, "You are. You're being a sweet boy." And he goes, "No, I'm not. I'm a bad boy."
I'm a bad boy.
I was like, "Good Lord, take the compliment, kid."
That's
Tell
amazing.
Santa to stuff it. I don't want his presents. I'm a bad boy.
You
Bad
can
boys
keep
don't
'em.
get presents.
I
Yeah.
freaking love that. That's great.
Me too.
Well, all right then. Oh, a quick note. I forgot to say it earlier, but if you want to call in, leave a voicemail like we got today, 801-471-0462. And you can also email us, talktothecore@gmail.com. Also text work at that number as well. Got some new patrons this week on our Patreon at patreon.com/core show. Michael, Dan Todd. That's two first names. I love it. Michael Watt, creator of the wattage, you know, how we test electricity and stuff. That's that guy.
Thanks.
Wayhu Sastano. Why-you Sastano? Sasanto? I'm sure.
Sasanto.
Thank you.
Sasanto.
That sounds like
Sasanto.
the food company everyone thinks poisons us. Anyway, Muhammad Simpor, Spencer, and finally, and this one is a very pointed name, Bring Back TWBD is the name.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty great.
Hell yeah, dude. Thank you for devoting your username to sending a message to
Yeah,
the TWBD guys that
that's some Activision.
you know, it's great that you're raising
Activision?
kids and all, but
Activism.
come on, we need to play D&D, you know.
Yeah.
What's the word? Not
Kids,
Activision. It's
like-
not Activision. Activism. That's what I meant to say.
Activism.
Activism Blizzard.
Oh, that's a good title. I'm going to have to change things around today. Anyway, we'll see. But you want no commercials or ads? Great. You want pre-show content every week? Great. How about monthly host shows? Great. All of these things are possible and happening if you're a patron at patreon.com/core show. Huge thanks to everybody who's done it for the last year. You guys helped make 2024 even more bearable than it already was. All right. So thank you guys very much. We appreciate it. frogpants.com/core for all other things. Let's throw it over to Grandma and let her remind everybody what we played today in case you forgot.
Well, here's the problem. My voice is still shot, so I don't know if I can do Grandma's voice, but I'm getting better enough to where I think I've lost my epic movie voice. So I'm going to try one last week of epic movie voice
Okay.
in the hopes that Grandma can return next week.
All right. Excellent.
So, in a world where Path of Exile 2 was played by Bo and John, we also talked about Metaphor Refantazio, World of Warcraft Siren Isle, Gravity Circuit, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, and No Man's Sky.
It's pretty good. You got right.
It's pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like this is the worst part where I can't go high and I've lost the low.
But yours is very fixable in post. Like because when you did that stuff for my Twitch page,
Yeah.
I think I downgraded. I downtuned your voice like one or two
One or two
settings.
notches. Yeah.
Yeah, like not like just and it hits real nice. So you know you're still good. You're still good.
Yeah, it's
That
life
is
and
how I
stuff.
check to see if I'm sick or not, though. When I get this, is I try and make a high-pitched sound, and if no sound comes out, I'm still sick. And if sound comes out, I'm getting better. And right now I can go, "Eek." It's there a little bit,
Yep.
so it's coming back.
Yep.
What you should do in that voice is say, "I don't want to be a good boy. I want to be a bad boy."
I don't want to be a good boy.
good
I want
boy.
to be a bad boy.
Bad boy.
I am a bad boy.
I am a bad boy.
3 bad boys making podcasts. Fantastic. All right. Well,
Say that. I am a bad boy.
on that note, we hope you're all having a great week. We hope you play a ton of video games, play the stuff you want. Screw your parents. We don't care what they say. Do what you want to do. You know?
Yeah, screw your parents, kids.
Yeah.
Bam!
Live the
Got
life you
'em
want
right
to
at
live.
the end.
That's right. Don't forget it. That's it for us. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Those pants are made for frogging, if you know what I mean. I actually don't. Frogpants.com. Yeah.